Genesis 21, the birth of Isaac. The Lord visited Sarah as he had said, and the Lord did to Sarah as he had promised. Verse 2, and Sarah conceived and bore Abraham a son in his old age, at the time of which God had spoken to him. Verse 3, Abraham called the name of his son who was born to him, whom Sarah bore him, Isaac, yes. Verse 4, and Abraham circumcised his son Isaac when he was how many days? How many days did they circumcise their kids? 8. 8 days, when he was 8 days old, as God had commanded him. Verse 5, Abraham was 100 years old when his son Isaac was born to him. Verse 5, and Sarah said, God has made laughter for me. Everyone who hears will laugh over me. Verse 7, and she said, who would have said to Abraham that Sarah would suckle children? Yet I have borne him a son in his old age. Okay, that's the birth of Isaac. The next section, okay, is verse 8. Hagar and Ishmael. No, it's still chapter 21. Okay. The next section is about Hagar and Ishmael getting sent away. Okay.
Why?
Because Sarah had Isaac already, and now she's jealous. She's really jealous of Hagar. Okay, and so she's going to get sent away.
But how about Ishmael?
Ishmael too. He's going to get sent away with his mom. Okay, let's read about it. See what happens. Let's read. Let's find out what happens. Okay.
Oh, because Abraham.
Because Sarah's jealous. Okay.
Oh, I know. This is why Abraham had 2 wives.
Yeah, remember? Remember God's plan in Genesis? A man shall bond with a woman. The two will become one. One man, one woman. Okay? Abraham went against God's plan. He had 2 wifeys. And it caused a lot of problems. His first son Ishmael got sent away. Okay? Hagar and Ishmael sent away.
How about Ishmael? Well, what happens to Ishmael? Are they going to die?
No. Ishmael's going to be the father of a great nation. Remember? The Bible said that already. Okay, verse 8. And the child grew and was weaned. And Abraham, they're talking about Isaac.
How about Hagar?
Ziki, let's read, baby. Not so many questions. Let's just listen and...
How about Hagar? What will happen to Hagar? Is she going to die?
It's right here in the reading, baby. Let's listen and pay attention, okay? Let's listen to find out. That's why we read, to answer our good questions. Those are good questions. Okay? And the child grew and was weaned. They're talking about Isaac. And Abraham made a great feast on the day that Isaac was weaned. Verse 9, but Sarah saw the son of Hagar, the Egyptian, whom she had borne to Abraham, playing with her son Isaac. Verse 10, so she said to Abraham, cast out this slave woman with her son, for the son of the slave woman shall not be heir to my son Isaac. Heir with my son Isaac. Verse 11. And the thing was very displeasing to Abraham on account of his son. Verse 12. But God said to Abraham, be not displeased, because the lad and because of your slave woman. Whatever Sarah says to you, do as she tells you. For through Isaac shall your descendants be named. Okay? God's saying, Sarah's your wife, follow Sarah. Okay? God's saying he'll take care of Hagar and Isaac, or Hagar and Ishmael. He'll take care of them, but follow what Sarah's saying. Okay? You got to pay a price for your foolishness. The price is you lose your first son, Ishmael.
Why he wanted Sarah?
That was his wifey, Sarah. Okay?
He chose
Hagar was the mistress. Sarah said, hey, here, sleep with Hagar, have a baby, because I can't have a baby. Okay, they didn't have faith in God. Okay, here's...
How about Hagar? What will happen?
Let's read. Let's find out, baby. Okay? Let's listen. Verse 13. And I will make a nation of the son of the slave woman. And also, because he is your offspring. Okay? He's going to have another nation, Ishmael. That's God's promise. What?
Who was born for Sarah or Hagar?
Sarah's older. Hagar was her slave. Okay, Hagar's younger. She was her slave. Sarah had an idea. Oh, here, go have a baby with my slave because I can't give you a baby anymore. Okay, but they were foolish. Instead of trusting in God, they had a lot of problems. Okay, verse 14. So Abraham rose early in the morning and took bread and a skin of water and gave it to Hagar, putting it on her shoulder along with the child, and sent her away. And she departed and wandered in the wilderness of Beersheba. Verse 15. When the water in the skin was gone, she cast the child under one of the bushes. Okay, where did she put Ishmael?
In one of the...
Under one of the bushes.
Why?
Okay. Let's keep reading. It doesn't say right. Let's keep reading and find out. Verse 6.
How about Hagar?
She just put her child under a bush. Okay, let's find out why. Okay. Then she went and sat down over against him, a good way off, about the distance of a bow shot. For she said, let me not look upon the death of the child. She thought her son was going to die. Okay, that's why she put him under the bush.
Why?
And because she was worried because they were out of water. And as she sat over against him, the child lifted up his voice and wept. Verse 17, and God heard the voice of the lad, and the angel of God called to Hagar from heaven and said to her, what troubles you, Hagar? Fear not, for God has heard the voice of the lad where he is. Verse 18, arise, lift up the lad, and hold him fast with your hand, for I will make him a great nation. Verse 19, then God opened
Why do you use for a great nation?
That's the promise that Ishmael's, the children of Ishmael are going to turn into a great nation. Verse 19, then God opened her eyes, and she saw a well of water. And she went and filled the skin with water and gave the lad a drink. Okay? So she found some water. God opened her eyes and she found some water, Zeke. Verse 20, and God was with the lad, and he grew up, and he lived in the wilderness, and became an expert with the bow.
Wait, did Sarah, Abraham, Hagar, and Ishmael and Isaac die?
They died later, okay, after today's story. Let's focus on Genesis 21. They didn't die in Genesis 21, no. Verse 20.
What are we reading about?
We're reading about Hagar and Ishmael when they got sent away. Okay? They're not alive today, no. But in verse 21, they're still alive, baby. Okay? Chapter 21, verse 21. He lived in the wilderness of Paran, and his mother took a wife for him from the land of Egypt. Okay? His mother found a wifey in Egypt for him.
And Genesis 21 and chapter 21 and verse 21, all those are the same.
That's right, baby. Okay, that's all we're going to hear about Hagar and Ishmael. Okay, that's done. That's all the Bible says about them. Okay, now we're back to Abraham. Okay, verse 22. Abraham and Abimelech make a covenant. Do you remember what a covenant is?
No.
A promise. Okay, they make a promise.
I make a promise.
Okay, verse 22. At that time, Abimelech and Phicol, the commander of the army, said to Abraham, God is with you in all that you do. Verse 23, now therefore swear to me here by God that you will deal falsely, that you will not deal falsely, or with me or my offspring, or with my posterity. But as I have dealt loyally with you, you will deal with me and with the land where you have sojourned. Verse 24, and Abraham said, I will swear. Verse 25, when Abraham complained to Abimelech about a well of water, which Abimelech's servants had seized, verse 26, Abimelech said, I do not know who has done this thing. You did not tell me, and I have not heard of it until today. Verse 27, so Abraham took sheep and oxen and gave them to Abimelech. And the two men made a covenant. No, not right now, okay, because I just got him calmed down. Verse 28, Abraham sent 7 ewe lambs of the flock apart. Verse 29, and Abimelech, okay, how many ewe lambs did Abraham send?
100.
7. Okay, you gotta listen, baby.
Why?
Okay, tomorrow you need to follow along.
Why?
Okay, today you get a break. You gotta listen. He sent 7 ewe lambs as an apology to Abimelech because they had a covenant. And then Abraham said, hey, why did your men take these well? And Abimelech said, what are you talking about? This is the first I've heard of it. And Abraham said, oh, okay, I'm sorry. I don't want to make a big problem. Here's 7 ewe lambs. Okay? Verse 27, so Abraham took sheep and oxen and gave them to Abimelech. And the 2 men made a covenant. Verse 28, Abraham set 7 ewe lambs of the flock apart. Verse 29, and Abimelech said to Abraham, what is the meaning of these 7 ewe lambs which you have set apart? Verse 30, he said, these 7 ewe lambs you will take from my hand, that you may be a witness for me that I dug this well. Verse 31, therefore that place was called Beersheba. Okay, where did that sounds like the place where Ishmael and Hagar went, but we don't have time to double check. But yeah, I think it's the same place, Beersheba, because they're both of them swore an oath. Verse 32, so they made a covenant at Beersheba. Then Abimelech and Phicol, the commander of his army, rose up and returned to the land of the Philistines. Verse 33, Abraham planted a tamarisk tree in Beersheba and called there on the name of the Lord, the everlasting God. Verse 34, and Abraham sojourned many days in the land of the Philistines. Okay, so this was all about him making peace with Abimelech. It sounds like Abimelech is the king of the Philistines. Okay, that's the end of chapter 21. Do you have any questions?
Now I get to play.
One more chapter.
It's 14 minutes.